Hey guys, Nick with Blacktop Cruisers. Today we're talking about the most popular and necessary modification for the 98 to 2000 SVT contours. This will be a series taking you from the information stage to the first startup. This is also applicable to New Edge Cougars, other model contours, Mercury Mystiques. Basically, if it came with the 2.5 V6, this will work for it. The 3-liter Durtex swap is by far the best bang for your buck, necessary, and popular swap to do to these cars. You can gain 30 horsepower, more reliable oiling system, more low-end torque, and depending on the style you choose, it'll look completely stock on the outside. Speaking of styles of the swap, there are 3 styles to choose from, each having their own pros and cons. First, we'll go with the port match swap. This is the simplest, quickest way to get a 3-liter in your car. This is where we port the 3-liter oval port heads to the 2.5 split port lower intake. You can use the intake to scribe your ports on the heads, or you can use what are called Bugzuki plates, which are available for sale online. The pros of this swap: it's cheap, requires no modification to the car or wiring harness, as bolt-in as a 3-liter gets, no tune is necessary, can easily keep all your emissions hardware, and looks stock. Cons: it's the least amount of power gain before it gets a tune, but it's still 30 horsepower. And another con, depending on how you feel, it looks stock still. The next one we're going to talk about is the hybrid swap. This is when we use the 2.5 heads and intakes on the 3-liter block. Pros: this has the most power potential out of all three options. Using stock pistons raises the compression ratio. You can use your stock 2.5 SVT heads, or you can use 01 Cougar 2.5 heads, which helps with the SVT oiling issue. And it looks stock again. Cons: using the stock heads doesn't improve the oiling issues. Using the stock heads, there is an oil passage on the 3-liter block that has to be filled. A tune is required to deal with the higher compression, and it looks stock. The next one we're going to talk about is a full 3-liter swap, otherwise known as an oval port 3-liter swap. This is when we use the 3-liter block and intake manifolds. Pros: most low-end torque potential out of all 3, and it doesn't look stock. Cons: you need to modify intake tube, throttle body bracket, throttle body, wiring, emissions hardware, and fuel rail. And depending on how you feel, it doesn't look stock. With all 3 of these options, you can use the 3-liter cams or the SVT cams. 3-liter cams give you more low-end torque. SVT cams, on the other hand, keep the top end power. Also, if you're keeping the split port with the butterflies in the intakes, the SVT cams are tuned for those intakes, so you'll have better power. Which donor car and engine should you choose? There are many options to choose from. The main thing to look for is it must be a dual overhead cam 3-liter engine with the cam-driven water pump. The vehicles you can choose from are 01 to 05 Ford Taurus and Mercury Sables, 05 to 07 Ford Freestyle and Ford 500 and Mercury Montegos, 01 to 07 Ford Escape, Mercury Mariner, and Mazda Tribute, or an 02 to 05 Mazda MPV van. All these options come down to similar work to work in our cars. The 01 to 05 Ford Taurus, Mercury Sable, the minimum work needed to fit in the car is you need to swap out the oil pan, oil pickup, timing cover, harmonic balancer, AC and alternator brackets, cut off the tab under the alternator bracket, and change out your engine mounts. Remove and cut the bushing off the back of the crankshaft, and the valve covers, if using the SVT intake, must be changed out. 05 to 07 Freestyle, Montego, and Ford 500. The minimum is an oil pan, oil pickup, timing cover, harmonic balancer, AC and alternator brackets. Cut off the tab under the alternator bracket. Change out your engine mounts, valve covers, and water pump. Remove or cut the bushing off the back of the crankshaft. 01 to 07 Ford Escape, Mariner, and Tribute. The minimum work needed is change out your timing cover, harmonic balancer, AC, and alternator brackets. Cut off the tab under the alternator bracket and switch out your engine mounts. Remove or cut the bushing off the back of the crank. 02 to 05 Mazda MPV. The minimum work needed is you need to change out your harmonic balancer, AC and alternator brackets, cut off the tab under the alternator bracket and change out your engine mounts, remove or cut out the bushing off the back of the crank. There is also one more thing you must change on all four of these engine options. You must take off the timing cover. You must change the reluctor wheel. It has a 2.5 and a 3.0 position. You need to turn it so the keyway is on the other opening. This is very important because if you don't do this, the car will not run. And then you have to take everything back apart. This is your basic information you need to start looking for your donor engine and which route you want to take. If you have any questions, comment below. Otherwise, subscribe, like, hit the bell to see our next in this series where we will find an engine online, go to the junkyard and see it, and show you the proper process of inspection before you buy the engine. Thanks, guys. See you next time.